Legaina. All right, Legain. Mm, having an assignment or an idea or a plug. Let's call it a plug because of people these nowadays. Plugs are more important than a lot of things. So I have a plug for for those who want to make a podcast. I have a podcast idea for you that you can actually use, try it out, it works. And then you make a lot of money. Besides making a lot of money, firstly, you must understand the purpose of this podcast idea that I'm bringing to you and this podcast before you do it. And you have to believe in it and then you will be successful. Let's say you'll be successful. So I'm gonna share an idea I've been banking myself, but I think when you have the power of ideas and when you're a think tank, share ideas with people, and then people will understand you way better, and then give people ideas on how to live and survive. So I have an idea I'm thinking of sharing the data. It's a podcast idea. I'm giving this because of podcasts are the new business today, digital business, because of it can attract, can set statements, it can clarify, it can do a lot of things in terms of having to be in conversations. So I have a podcast here. Let's go to the whiteboard and then get one to hold. What am I talking about? What is the purpose? So understand this podcast. So the podcast I'm talking about is called Know the Post. So Know the Post is a podcast that deal like the HR advertising posts the more in the internet. So you're gonna create a podcast that go through the posts, advertised post. All right. The tagline of this Know the Post, this podcast is unveiling opportunities, empowering careers. Now, the description of this Know the Post is it's your passport to insight of opportunities. Each episode brings you exclusive interviews with HR professionals, delving into specific of what companies are seeking in their next hiring, the next hire. So, what sets you apart from the rest of the people who are doing in HR and post? Meaning, you will be giving out direct insight. There will be pure transparency, avoiding scammers, and you'll be target advising, meaning you'll be specific on who you're talking to. How it works. Normally, in the podcast format, we invite a HR professional and have a 10-minute conversation with an HR personnel through a Zoom, extracting the crucial details about the advertised position. Very key. There's in a 10-minute conversation about this information and give you much insight about how this post works. Now, why would companies who partner with the podcast Know the Post? You give companies direct exposure, enhance their brand visibility, and community engagement. Now, companies, they need all this. And companies pay for this. So if they can get it for free, why not? I mean, if we have a podcast talking about a specific company, it creates community engagement. Now, obviously, a podcast should be directed, should be specific, and should have a direction. So the main questions to us during this podcast: number one, position overview. What's this position all about? Number two, the company culture. Who are you trying to seek? What's the culture of this company? Quality sought. Information, more information that it's needed of this company. Team dynamics. What kind of team is this person going to join in your company? Challenges and other opportunities in your company. You have to explain all this. Then what's the application process? Sending a CV, yes, not enough. But if there is an application process, one should know. And is this job a remote work or an on-site work or it's a field work, then you need to explain. You as an HR personnel will actually explain success metrics for this specific post. What are the KPIs that this person needs to maintain? And the most important thing, advice for applications. Whoever is going to apply, this is the thing. This is the best advice, because of people need to know what are they applying for. Very much important. Now, every podcast needs to make money. Now, you won't make money until you reach podcast 30. Once you reach podcast 30, now you're gonna have your podcast on the podcast 30 is gonna create what you call a revenue stream. Now, on your revenue stream number one is corporate sponsorship package. You're gonna create a corporate sponsorship package to come and advertise in segments, meaning each and every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes, there have to be an advert segment. Now, social media promotional package, that also is a package on its own. Company spotlight, if a company is seeking certain spotlight, they can pay for that. Obviously, projected incomes I cannot project now unless you perfect all this. So if you want me to help you to perfect all this, corporate sponsorship, advertising segments, social media promotion packages, and company spotlight, feel free to DM me and I will help you with all the needs, especially in terms of creating all this. And what's the difference between all this and how should you charge if you're reaching to podcast 30? Podcast 30 doesn't matter how many viewers are there, but podcast 30, you have to bring in a revenue stream. So that's an idea. That's an idea of a podcast. I think whoever is interested in doing this podcast, sure, why not? This idea is not registered. Anyone else can do it. My joy comes when I give something out, and then when people do it. Doesn't matter how they do it. If they do it, I don't own ideas. No one can own ideas. And I've got bigger ideas that I have. It's just that some of them I can't do them. So if you want to do this idea, feel free to do it. Know the post. You can rename it however you want. But if you need help, no worries. Come and talk to me. It's mahala for free.